Just wanted to make a quick little video here showing off the 3 new fates from the new patch for Tale of Immortal. These are not part of the DLC. These are just part of the patch. So if you have the game, you will already have these. No DLC needed. First up, we have the Soul Reaver sword. Gives you this cool graphic on top of your character here. You can either access the menu from here or via the item itself. Either way will take you to the same place. This is the Soul Reaver Edge Manifest. Legend has it that this sword was formed from the killing intent of an ancient evil beast, housing its soul within the blade. It awakens the darkness in its wielder's heart and grows stronger by consuming the souls of cultivators. So we need to actually kill characters to gather souls. You can see here we need to, after defeating a cultivator, you can use Soul Reaver to consume their soul. Stronger souls grant greater increases to the sword. Soul Reaver levels up by consuming souls. Cooldown for consuming souls, I assume this probably goes up as it goes up in power. Do not let cultivators within a 5-tile radius notice you when consuming souls. That is actually vaguely difficult. That's pretty far. That's farther than you can see by default, at least. I think by default you can see 3 squares. So you're gonna have to really kind of like pick people off, I suppose. What do you get for that? Attack plus 0. Consuming souls increases the attack slightly. I don't know if that's a 1-for-1. If that is, then you could get up to 1200. That wouldn't be a bad little boost. Learn Tri-Ultimate Sword Key. Requires the soul of 3 #1 sword cultivators. That's kind of difficult to do, but maybe kind of not. You can track those people down at the city. You can check the board where they're at. We can learn the Netherworld Radiance. Requires the soul of 6 Heaven Chosen with over 150 demonic points. So we need Heaven Chosen who also have 150 demonic points. Kind of an interesting requirement. And cast the Sword Souls skill when using a special skill. This requires us to have the soul of a sect leader. So if you're going for a dark playthrough, very cool, but man, that's hard. I've never had any luck killing characters in this game. The world seems to hunt me down and end me anytime I do that. So perhaps a new skill I would need to learn. Also, beyond that, if we go into a combat here, the sword manifests itself and does attacks. So that, I mean, obviously, you know, this is a brand new character, but that's not bad. I mean, you could get that buffed up with a couple early kills, assuming you can handle that. And that's good little AoE auto attacks. You can focus on defending while it goes out and attacks. I mean, even just a little bit of attack power there. Hopefully it scales with your character's stats also and not just its own. If it's just its own stats, I mean, that's going to max out before too long. But if it can be your skills too, your stats too, that would actually be a pretty good little sword there. So not bad, not bad. Okay, let's take a look at the next new one. Our second new fate is the Lotus Sword's Will. Adds a cool little Lotus graphic behind your character's portrait here. The trait itself gives you sword plus 30, so it makes it pretty darn likely that you can have sword as your highest skill starting out. It gives you attack plus 2, that's whatever. Possesses a radiant lotus that will automatically absorb ki to form lotus seeds with special effects. We can click here to open a menu and look at it. We go to items. We do have an item for this one, the lotus. Takes us to the same place. In here, I have collected a full 120 once, and now I am 80 into the second one. When I filled it up the first time, I got a lotus seed. I'll show you in a second. It is said to be the blossom from the sacred pond of an ancient sword master, Cian Lotus. The lotus absorbs ki around the world and grows with the sword's will. Pretty decent. The radiant lotus absorbs ki every month, and once its ki is sufficient, it will condense a lotus seed. When you cultivate the tiles with abundant ki and forage in tiles with abundant herb, the lotus will gain ki. The Radiant Lotus grants constant vitality restoration in the duration of a sword motion skill. This unlocks at Foundation. So this is a heal while you are using your movement skill. I think a lot of sword builds do like to actually use its movement. It makes easy charging of your ultimate. So that could be pretty good. I hope it scales. A lot of healing, I feel, does not keep up with the amount of HP that you actually have / would want to be able to heal. So assuming that that scales at least somewhat and doesn't just like give you whatever at foundation and never change, that could be really handy. Take away your need to worry about healing from other sources possibly. We can launch a Lotus at the target, dealing damage over time to surrounding enemies when casting sword special skills. This unlocks that core key condensation, so nice and early for both of those two skills. The Radiant Lotus deals damage over time to surrounding enemies in the duration of sword motion skills. Unlocks that golden core. Again, reinforcing that they really want us to use a sword skill. Launch multiple Radiant Lotuses, dealing damage over time to enemies on their path when casting sword special skills. Unlocks that Origin Spirit. Again, hopefully it scales with our own stats, or hopefully it scales with our rank or something, or this grows up or grows or something. I'm just hoping that it scales. If these don't scale at all, they're just good when you get them and then completely outclassed, that would be pretty disappointing. For the seeds, I did condense one so far. This is the Green Lotus Seed, a mythical treasure condensed by the Radiant Lotus, used to slightly increase charisma, particularly favored by female cultivators. If we use it, it gives charisma +2. I think that would make a nice, easy, essentially free gift that we could give to cultivators. There's nothing wrong in the cultivation world with getting yourself a sugar mama or hugging the thickest legs you can find, as it were. So a nice little bonus there. I don't know what other seeds you get. I assume they're going to be kind of similar and small stat bonuses, maybe skills. If you know, put in a comment down below for me. I think this is a pretty decent one. I like that it has a mix of combat and some freebie stuff. The graphics are pretty cool. And when you go to combat, it has like a cool little graphic that it has. I'll see if I can find us a combat here quickly. There we go. Here's a fight. In addition, when you're clicking on the map to where you want to move, it puts these little lotus pawns on your trail and a little graphic. Just kind of a cool little thing. I don't think that actually has any effect. When we go into combat here, don't you leave little lotus blossoms behind you. At this time, they don't seem to do anything beyond just being a cool little graphic for you. All right, let's take a look at the third of the new fates. For the third new fate, we have Spirit Sight. It adds this cool black and white yin-yang to your character. I see like example in the spirit world. And it may be a little hard to see in the video, but my character's right eye has like energy chi radiating off of it. And I believe that even is on, yeah, even on your portrait down here, you get that little detail. Nice little special touch there. I really like that. The Spirit Sight itself gives luck +20, insight +10, vision range +1, grants mythical sight, allowing you to perceive various spiritual entities. So far, I've just ran around trying to find something, and this spawned near me when I was moving around, and I got a big graphic that was very similar to this piece right here, so I assume that this is specifically from that. Yeah, Gossip Soul. Oh, Immortal, as long as I am here, these cultivators speak harsh words and spread rumors about their spouses and partners. Okay. So it gave us a yin-yang orb, a mythical orb formed from the condensed energy of spirit entities. Only those chosen by fate can perceive and harness it. Used to immobilize all enemies for 5 seconds. And I believe this is the generic thing. You get different ones. I've heard of one that I think makes people move around faster. So there should be a couple different ones of these. Kind of a nice consumable. I could see being able to immobilize all enemies pretty powerful. That does depend on if bosses are immune to it or whatnot. But when you have bosses that like to do charge attacks or something, be pretty powerful to be able to just stop them in their tracks. Destiny, we got Gossip Soul. I assume different souls will have different ones. This one specifically is increases the chance of defaming the cultivator's partner when talking to partnered cultivators. That seems really bad. I don't think I would want to defame a cultivator's partner. So I guess you need to be a little careful with these. Be curious to see which other ones you get, but I ran around for about 3 months and that was the first one I saw so far. I have a feeling that this one probably has a lot of other hidden things. As you can see here though, there's no secondary screen yet. So it may be more focused around these temporary destinies. Depending on those bonuses, those could be pretty good, especially if they're like 3 months. That's long enough to do something with them. But it also just depends. Like, maybe I'm missing something here, but I'm not quite sure why I would want to defame other people's partners. That's going to piss them off quite a bit. And you can see in here, I don't have an item that opens a special screen for it. Here are the 2 that we just got, and we can equip those as a combat item. Overall, pretty interesting. I like all 3 fates. They are interesting. It appears that you can only get one of them at a time, and I will show you what that looks like. Here we go. So they have a new background. It is like a gold background with some texture on it, and it has like this flowing chi graphic to it. So this is Soul Reaver. Like you see, that's the demonic sword we looked at. No base stats to him. And they don't seem super duper rare, but they're not super duper common either. Overall, if you want one of these, I don't think it's going to be too hard. Of also note, I am on the English version release, and as usual, we're missing a bunch of translated text. This one is just telling us that we can pick 3 destinies. We are supposed to be able to lock one of these, but apparently there is a known bug in the English version that we cannot lock destinies, which is part of the new patch's features. Assuming that that's going to happen, I think that would be really, really nice that, like, let's say, oh, you really want to play a Lotus sword, I could lock that and then actually go get the other destinies, because it can be a little hard if you're looking for something specific here to, you know, get a combo that you like, because you're down to 3 of these that you really, really want. And then, at least for me, I always like to have 2 things that synergize, or at least 1 and then 1 that's okay. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully a hot fix that will add that lock in here. Apparently there's supposed to be like a padlock graphic that we just aren't seeing. As you can see, there's just nothing hidden here or anything. Okay, those are the 3 new fates added in the new patch. I think they are pretty cool. If you've gone a little further, feel free to post spoilers down below if there's some other story content. The Spectral Eye one especially seems to me like it is the type that probably has some other story and stuff that goes along with it. Be interesting to see. And just as a reminder, this is in the base game, not reliant on you buying 5 Blooms, the new DLC. Okay, hopefully this was helpful for you. If it was, don't forget to leave a like and maybe a comment below. All right, take care, cultivators. Don't get on a deviated chi path.